Last year was an improvement for Toronto, and it's still only won one game past round one of the playoffs. That said, there's still just way too much raw material here for anyone to reasonably write them off. We're going to be here all season talking about a variety of topics that apply to our rankings. Today though, we're going to keep it pretty simple and just talk about the top 5 squads in the ranking heading into the season. That means we start with our 5th ranked team, perhaps the most on the rise club in the NHL, the New Jersey Devils. Wow, was there a lot to like here. The Devils made an incredible 49-point jump last season and finished just behind the Carolina Hurricanes for first place in the Metro Division before bowing out to those same Canes in round 2 of the playoffs. Trade deadline acquisition Timo Meier sticking around for another 8 years. Tyler Toffoli comes in as a cagey playoff vet, and the Devils have not one, but 2 young defensemen in the fold to keep an eye on in Luke Hughes and Simon Nemec. Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier are 2 wonderfully complementary centers and represent one of the very best 1-2 punches down the middle in the league. At number 4, the Edmonton Oilers. Now, hockey's the ultimate team game, and not one guy, even a goalie, can win contests on his own. That said, Connor McDavid has gone to such an other level that it's hard to believe he won't one day capture that cup that he burns for. Obviously, the Oilers have other key pieces surrounding McDavid, including MVP level performer Leon Draisaitl. But number 97 has become such a force of nature, it's just getting increasingly uncomfortable betting against him to get that championship. Our 3rd ranked team also comes from Canada. You guessed it, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hey, if you're a Leafs hater, you're well within your rights to point out the annual playoff failures. I'll put it this way, last year was an improvement for Toronto, and it's still only won one game past round 1 of the playoffs. That said, new GM Brad Treliving has come in and really changed the complexion of the forward group with the additions of Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi. And there's still just way too much raw material here for anyone to reasonably write them off. At number 2 on our list, the Carolina Hurricanes. This is just a solid top to bottom team with an absolutely elite defense core. Don't forget, Carolina entered the playoffs last spring without the services of top goal-getter Andrei Svechnikov due to a knee injury, and their plan for secondary scoring went up in smoke when Max Pacioretty re-injured his Achilles after coming back and scoring 3 goals in 5 games. That's a lot for any team to overcome, especially one whose bugaboo has been getting enough scoring in crunch time. The Canes have been on the cusp for a few years now. Let's see if they can finally get over the hump. As for our number 1 team, it scaled the mountain very recently and could well do it again soon. It's the Colorado Avalanche. The Avs, of course, were bounced by the upstart Seattle Kraken in round 1 of last year's playoffs, and it's easy to remember just what a difficult run it was defending that 2022 championship for Colorado. There was the Cup hangover to deal with, an early season trip to Europe, and there was always a cloud of uncertainty hanging over the club due to the unknown injury status of captain Gabriel Landeskog. Well, this year's Avs are well rested, and even though they're still without the services of Landeskog, at least they knew that heading into the offseason and were able to strengthen the center position with the additions of Ryan Johansson and Ross Colton. The Avs are still absolutely loaded with talent, starting with Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar, of course, and with a full offseason to recover, perhaps a renewed sense of hunger, the Avalanche are, in my eyes, the top team heading into the season. Now let's get a look at the full ranking. At number 7, don't forget about the defending champion Vegas Golden Knights. They are trying to join the 2017 Pittsburgh Penguins and 2021 Tampa Bay Lightning as clubs that have recently gone back-to-back. Just outside the top 10 at number 12, you'll find the Pittsburgh Penguins, a team that missed the playoffs last year and hopes to not only get back into the big dance, but make a deep run with defenseman Erik Karlsson now in the fold. We've got the Buffalo Sabres at number 17, and boy, is it going to be boom or bust in Western New York. This team is loaded with talent at forward and defense. If it can just get a little goaltending, maybe Buffalo's ready to be a playoff contender already. You look at the bottom of the ranking, number 31, Anaheim Ducks, number 32, Chicago Blackhawks. Not where you want to be right now, obviously, but boy, lots to like long-term about those teams. The Ducks are loaded with young talent, and of course, Connor Bedard will debut in the NHL with Chicago this year. All right, I'm Ryan Dixon. That's all the time we have this week, but make sure you come back next week for our first in-season edition of the Sportsnet Power Rankings.